T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. Hyped as one for the ages. Super Bowl 55 is a blowout. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense shuts down the high-powered offense of Patrick Mahomes and his Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, Tom Brady adds to his legacy. So to get things started, let's welcome the Hall of Famer Lugs into the podcast booth. He joins us on the Cellular One GTE hotline. Lugs, are you there?
Yes, sir. My real thought is the MVP of the Super Bowl was Todd Bowles, the setup and the defensive unit for the Buccaneers. They did exactly what you had to do to basically win that game. I mean, the offense had its moments, and I was glad to see Gronkowski get a couple of TDs. It was kind of nostalgic, and he's just a big old goofball kid that just enjoyed it. So, and I guess bottom line, even though I'm not a real Brady fan, I got to tip my hat. The man did it. So
he did. What do you say, T-Dog?
Yeah, I agree with Lugs. The Bucs defense, it's crazy they only had 3 sacks the way Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the whole game, but 3 sacks. They had 8 QB hits, 9 pass defenses, 2 INTs, one by Devin White, one by Antoine Winfield Jr. Just an utterly dominant performance. The crazy stat for Patrick Mahomes, based on what the defense did, he ran for 490 yards in that game. That's how relentless they were after him. He ran for 490 yards.
Wow. Did not know that.
So, like Luke said, there was some interesting blitzes early on. Like there was that one where they sent the 2 corners on a simultaneous blitz. But I think, just after like four possessions, they're like, we don't need to send anybody. Just drop back 7. Our 4 can get to them. There's no reason to try to do anything too advanced. Just put 2 safeties deep and just let them die. So
and that Devin White kid, did he have the game of his life or what? He's a rookie, isn't he?
No, he's not a rookie. It's his second year though. But it was crazy. There was 2 elite linebackers that came out the same year, both named Devin. Devin White, who went to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Devin Bush, who went to the Steelers. Both of them have been studs for the most part. Yeah, Devin White had 12 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and INT. And kind of like Lugs, I know I have friends that think I don't like Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the difference. Look, this was a 7-9 team last year, but it was really just because their quarterback was so turnover prone. They just needed a guy who was hyper competitive and was a professional in that spot that I think really put him over the top. And obviously Brady could do that even at 43 still. So credit for him for picking the right team. Credit for them to be willing to take them, understanding their roster was just that good. They just needed that one last element, which is a hard one to find. And bizarrely enough, Brady's just open on the open market. So it's a symbiotic relationship perfectly.
Yeah, it shows you the true value of a quarterback. He came in and you can tell the teammates obviously upped their game as far as I would imagine team meetings, and all of them should follow his diet. So, yeah, it was an amazing. I was honestly shocked just by the lack of offense from Kansas City. I could not believe it at all. Kelsey that linebacker David, I think his name is.
Yep.
Man, he blanketed Kelsey. I mean, you could tell Kelsey was just sitting there on the ground after one of those times when David came in and knocked the ball down, and Kelsey was totally frustrated. So, amazing performance, and I don't know. I guess Mahomes had surgery on his toe. He'll be back. That's the thing. I mean, you're not going to stop those guys. People will use this as sort of a blueprint to try to stop them. But once they get their offensive line, their true starters back, I don't want to make any excuses for them, but they were playing with less than top flight offensive line guys, and guys were in other positions than they'd played all year pretty much. So it was a perfect storm for the Buccaneers, I think.
Okay, a couple of things. What if Mahomes is never coming back to a Super Bowl, a la Aaron Rodgers 10 years ago? You know, really? You think that he'll keep coming back? It's a hard thing to do.
I do. It's not just Mahomes. It's that whole package, offensive package. And their defense, played well enough in the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously they allowed some scores. The Gronk scores were interesting to me, especially the one in the end zone, because Gronk at this point is just a big old lumbering lunk. But he made a move in the end zone on whoever that linebacker was.
Just to give, because obviously I think it sounds like we all agree the defense was the star of the show.
Yeah.
But I want to give credit to the offense too. They punted on their first 2 drives. The next 6 drives, they went touchdown, and then they turned over on downs where, depending on how it was called, you could have made a call that Ronald Jones got in. I don't think there was any good call, but I don't think there was any good call to clearly show that he wasn't in. I'm not saying you all agree with me on that, but they were on the precipice of scoring. So that's the second drive. Touchdown, field goal.
Yeah.
So they just dominated the next 6 offensive possession. And then after that, they're just trying to kill the clock. So
yeah, and those folks who say that those penalties in the first half really took the wind out of Kansas City's sails. The one in the end zone, I think, was unnecessary, but it didn't end up as a score anyway. They got it on the 1 yard line and could not punch it in. Kansas City stopped that.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of calls that you could have gone either way, I guess, but it wouldn't have mattered, I don't think.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, the 2 big mistakes in the first half, and I'll admit too, I still think with as dominant as Bucs defense, maybe it was a tighter game. They were still going to win, but in the first half, when McCole Hartman went off sides on the Bucs field goal attempt,
Yep,
that allowed then Brady on the very next play throw to Gronk for his second touchdown, and then I think Chiefs calling a timeout with 49 seconds left.
bad.
I know it was third down. They thought maybe if they stopped them, they get the ball back. It's just like the Bucs offense had started really generating. I thought it was better to play it safe in this instance.
Yep.
And just hopefully they get a field goal. So you're just down 17-6 going into half, and you get the ball back. And just when they scored that third touchdown, where Brady threw to Antonio Brown on that whip route,
yep,
that was it. Like the game was over at halftime.
Dagger. So, yeah, lots of holding calls. You're right. And apparently Kansas City was used to doing a lot of holding because they were doing it a lot. And that game had 120 penalty yards for Kansas City, third most in Super Bowl history. Another little tidbit. Gronkowski and Brady set the NFL record, previously held by Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, with most playoff touchdowns by a duo, Gronk and Brady. There you go. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad for Gronk, and I think that year off, he got a chance to heal up. it was painful to watch him at the end of the New England career there. You could tell the man was just beat up. And so it's good because I just like him just because he's enjoyable. He kind of reminds me of, in a sense, like Shaquille O'Neal, in that he's just a likable guy. He's just a guy, it's cool.
And one more thing. Did Brady get under the honey badger skin, Tyrann Matthew, just a little bit? He was unglued with that guy. He couldn't focus at all. At some point, he was done. Ineffective. It was wild.
I just want to go back to something that Lug said, which I think is true. I'll get the 100%. I agree with him on the Shaq Gronk thing. They're both guys that play up being goofy, but both of them, I'm not going to say Gronk ends up being as shrewd as Shaq is, but like Gronk's a lot smarter than what he appears. I know some people might think I'm off base on this, but if you hear him, like he still drives, I think he saves all his money. He hasn't really used any money from his playing days, and he's, I think he's going to try to live off whatever he does after football. And he'll just save up that money and allow it to accumulate.
Yeah, first impression, he's a meathead, right? He's just kind of thick and not all there.
Yeah, and I think some of that's true, but I think he amps it up a lot.
That's true.
Some of it's true, but I think he amps it up a lot because, to be fair, it sells well. Yeah, he's lovable. Like, people don't dislike Gronk. He's a likable guy.
That's good.
Yeah. But you are right. Like, they were getting under each other's skins, and the other one that I thought was a great moment, even though they got penalized for it, but the game was already over. I thought it was great when Antonio Winfield Jr. did the deuces right Tyreek Hill's face as a callback, because Tyreek Hill does that a lot to people when he scores a touchdown. And at that point the game was over, so who cares if you get a penalty? I thought it was a great moment.
And Hill had no game. What was his final offensive stats? Do you have it?
He had 73 yards receiving.
Wow.
So.
But to go back to, all the crosstalk, that was the first time I'd ever seen Brady get up in somebody's face to, just take a shot. I'd never seen him do that. And the honey badger did not expect it, man. That guy was just lost in the woods after that.
Yeah, he was a goner. And you got to say that about Brady, guys. This mentality, this gamesmanship, this gamer stuff, when he's dialed in, he's dialed in. You mentioned Michael Jordan on the last show. Amen to that. He just does it.
Yeah, and I'm not. I think he'll be back. I think. Well, they've got some major pieces that their contracts are up, like Shaq Barrett, I think, and maybe
Chris
JPP.
Godwin. And Chris Godwin, the wide receiver.
I thought in the new NFL of today, the Roger Goodell 2021 NFL, I thought offense had surpassed defenses as winning championships. You remember all you hear, defense wins championships. But this one proved me wrong. It was won on both offensive and defensive lines for the Bucs. I mean, the high-powered offense of Kansas City did squat.
Yeah. Brady and Mahomes were the marquee, and they both deserve it because, you're talking about the greatest quarterback possibly of all time, definitely of his generation, and obviously maybe the youngest, most transcendent star in Patrick Mahomes. But this was a total line game, which the Bucs O and D line smoked KC's.
In the trenches, man. Amen. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
But I gotta, because I gave him a lot of I gotta say Leonard Fournette stepped up also in the Super Bowl. He played well, and so did Ronald Jones. That's the thing is their offense. Brady played well. I only threw for 200 yards, but again, I give credit to Brady. He saw how well the defense was playing. There's no reason for him to take risks. Just play a lot of safe plays, allow the running backs to get their yards, and just go get ready to fit yourself for a 7th ring.
Sort of transition to a little bit. Have you guys seen the Russell Wilson interview where he said that he, as a quarterback, would like more say into players that are going around, in around him that will be around him, and all the blow